same profession they came from. So that's I'm going to explain to you what is the same town, same village. I'm from a small town near Bhimavaram is a town, and I'm from a very small. Each actually the town is small, and then I'm from another small village from outside of outskirts of that town. It's like 4 or 5 miles. During that time in 1960s and 70s, is like a different island for us, is the name of the town is Palakoderu. I'm from that. I was born there. It is a very picturesque place. We have a lot of picturesque place that. Uh, just a minute. Is picturesque place, and uh, it is a palm trees and coconut trees and a lot of rice paddy fields. A lot of them there in that village. It is just a beautiful place, but there is no electricity. There is no running water. Healthcare is non-existent. There is a local doctors, one or two, like village doctors that village doctors are who provide care, but not really. So my father is a teacher. He was a teacher there. I will explain to you about my father a little bit. And actually, he's a silent hero. I told you that my father. My father was he was a teacher. He was a high school teacher, and then he was providing a care for those people because there is nobody, no one, there hardly anybody speaks English. My father is a self-taught doctor, and my village is all bullock carts and the plowing. John Silver talks about plowing, and here is a plowing. Really, we did the plowing there. I used to see that all the times. And then we used to use the Russian tractors. Russian influence was very big in 1960s in India. So that's only mechanized things is saw from Russia. In fact, during those days, 1960s. Think about that in 40, 50 years, how much changed the world. Um, so so that my father, as you know, the diseases are very usual suspects: typhus and cholera, the bacterial infections. Malaria is a parasitic carrying infection, is flea, the lung, tropical diseases. These are all very common usual suspects, and every child must have gone through this one time the other. In fact, there is no exception in my view, including me. One of those things we all face. So it's a very common, those kind of tropical diseases. Those were common in the 1800s in the United States, 1600s, in fact. So people don't know about it, but now they were 1960s and 70s very common there. So what are the other ways of people dying? Cobras are big. Actually, they use, we have snake charmers are quite a bit. It's not some storytelling. There were snake charmers, and then that is a big entertainment for us. And then I used to see, when I'm going to the high school, I used to see quite a bit of I used to come across cobras. That's very common for all of us, in fact. So it is a lot of people used to die with the cobra bites. And the other thing is that there are very few suicides, and then accidental deaths. If endrin is a pesticide they used to consume. I saw in my entire life maybe one or two suicides through the endrin, that pesticide. They used to take it and die. But some people, by accidentally, they consume that, they die. But that's a deaths come from, besides the diseases, there are other deaths come from these two factors. The cobras are big. So that was my so in that village the healthcare is delivered through, that the doctors used to go. My father, including my father, used to go in a bicycle. They have a doctor's bag and then put in a bicycle, and they used to go to the towns, the houses, visit them, check all the family members, everything, check it out, and give medications, and then check their prognosis and everything. That is very interesting. They do everything at the same place. They deliver, even they give the medications right there on the spot. So how do the pregnancy, how the delivery of the babies, Is that there is a little bit of a good mix and bad. A lot of, in fact, a lot of midwives are the ones they deliver it at the home. I was born at home. All my brothers were born at home, and we were born at home, delivered by the midwives. Very common in rural India, rural villages. So it's not uncommon. If there is a pregnancy complication comes, I don't know how many people died. That is, we don't have the count. We did not count that complicated pregnancy thing. But most of the guy, millennia, the guy, the since the beginning of life, the birth was given right to the by God. So it is a common. You don't need a special things. That's naturally is uncommon to go wrong. But sometimes it can go wrong. That's people die. I know one person. My father who used to, that we don't have any resources. Uh, my father was one of the doctors who studied self-taught medicine, because he is the only one person who spoke English in that. Very few, couple of them spoke English in that village. So he learned English, and he studied. He's a consummate reader. He was a brilliant man. That he was a love for education, love for medicine is unbelievable. He was reading nonstop. My mother used to get upset with him all the time. He never used to pay attention to anything. He was putting all his money for the books. So he was, and also my uncle, another uncle, is a doctor in a small village, another village. He used to go to do the externship there while he was teaching in the school. So he became a doctor. He was very good. In fact, he's one of the few doctors, couple of doctors who are in that village. So we had a lot of tragic stories. I used to hear one time I heard a screams from a woman entire night. And then I asked my father, went there and checking on her. And then we don't have a transportation. We have, believe me, the transportation is a minimum, which is a bullock carts or a transportation, like Oregon Trail wagons, that kind of a transportation. In 70s, I'm talking about, not a century ago. So 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 that is a big problem. Transportation is a problem, and there is a so the woman died with ectopic pregnancy. My father was there, but we don't have DNC machines or anything. So it's a very difficult. I know his frustrations. He knows how to do things, but he doesn't have the resources to do it. That was a big problem, and he used to treat infections, and he was very good doctor. He taught Ayurveda and also English medicine and allopathic medicine. He was doing very well. He was doing injections, everything. So he was providing a care for those small village. He was providing a diagnosis and and a treatment and prognosis. Is a delivery of healthcare is a very sophisticated in that way. It may not have all the resources, but it is true point of care of system, true point of care delivery system. You can diagnose right there and then give the medicines and check the prognosis same time. It is that good. It's not bad. So that's what we need actually in this country. We need a point of care system, one place. I was listening yesterday, Robert Pearl's podcast. He was saying that same day appointment, that Oracle chief, health chief of the Oracle was talking about same day appointments with the Sumner is talking about. That is the key. So my father is Annam. My father's name is Annam Raju Subbarao. Last name is mine. Same thing, of course. In India, they alter the first name and last name. They misplace the last name and first name. That is a bicycle. I used to hang around with him and throw a bicycle, and I used to go with him sometimes. That is a bicycle is a mode of transportation besides the bullock carts for the families. So it's a affordable healthcare system, truly affordable healthcare system for the poor villagers. Think about that. They have that is a story. So how do they get a reimbursement for the doctors? That's a very interesting. So I heard in the United States also they used to give vegetables and the chickens and eggs. We are vegetarian, so they used to drop off milk and the vegetables for us. So that is the same thing in India also. Even in 1970s, so they deliver vegetables and rice and all those things, milk and and then we used to do twice a year or once a year puja. Puja is like a Christmas time, and Christmas time is a right after the harvest festival, January 15th, around that time. Is a puja, is a Sankranti festival they call. We used to celebrate that, and they do puja, Satyanarayana puja they call, is a god's Indian Hindu god puja. So the all the patients bring cash. Sometimes they used to give even a gold and silver. Some rich clients used to give a gold and silver. So that's how they used to survive the doctors, the reimbursement. So it's a true concierge medicine. We should do the primary care same thing. We should make it total cash and gold and silver. That's a better way to do it even in this country, in my view. So next, the next is my father is an extraordinary man. My mother and father he is a teacher, doctor extraordinaire, and he inspired several. He was a teacher, so he had a lot of students. He inspired so many students to become a doctors. They are serving around the world. His grandchildren and children are all over the world now. They're everywhere. So because of him, he inspired in a small village. He inspired so many people to become a doctors and other educated people. In fact, my mother is she's an extraordinary woman. She doesn't have she's high school. She's a elementary school graduate, but she has a doctorate intelligence she has. And so all our brothers and sisters are blessed with their educational abilities, intellectual prowess. We are all blessed with it. Thank you. My father and mother are great parents. So that is my father's name is Subbarao. This is another story of another Dr. Subbarao. He predates my father. My father. By the time my father was a teenager, he died. This man. He is from the same town. We are from the same town. His name is the same name as my father's name. I walked on the same streets. I went to the same temples as he did. This one and my father, and we're all walked on the same streets of this one. We went to the same school, and really we are all belong to the same community. So this is an unknown famous man. Why? I tell you, he's a very unknown famous man. Why he was unknown famous man, I tell you. He's the first chemotherapy drug. He discovered first chemotherapy drug. I'm not talking about for the entire world. Okay. First broad spectrum antibiotic he discovered first broad spectrum antibiotic. First strip test he introduced. First topical drug for tropical diseases he introduced. His drugs are even now World Health Organization's essential drug list. Is part of the World Health Organization's essential drug list. He is that famous, but nobody knows. Unfortunately, is the country nobody knows in his hometown. Nobody knows there's no internet, so nobody knows now him. Nobody heard his name in his hometown. Nobody knows in his home country. Nobody knows in his adopted country, America. I tell you why. He was discriminated. He was forgotten. He was forgotten by a Nobel Committee. I tell you, that is a sad story. Dr. Yallapragada Subbarao was born exactly today, in January 12th January 1895. He was born in 1895. He died in 1948. He was short life. He was born exactly same day today, 1895, January 12th. He was born in India, in my hometown. Dr. Yallapragada Subbarao, he was born in my town is a Somarama. It is one of the sacred places for the temples of India. Is Lord Shiva's, one of the houses of Lord Shiva. Is 5 houses. He has 5 houses, homes. He has 5 homes. The Lord Shiva had in India. My town is one of his homes. It's called Somarama, and it is another name for that is Bhimavaram. It's a very small town, very rural town. Even in very few people know that town. Even in India, even in my home state, few people know. Now we are getting popular a little bit. So he was Dr. Subbarao got married at the age of 15. He failed high school 3 times. High school, you could not pass high school. He wants to do some banana trading or some fruit trade. He wants to sell. He wants to get into the rice paddy business, something like that. He wanted to be a farmer. Nothing worked out. He got married at the age of 15. That's very common during those times, including my father's time. So, that his father-in-law thought he's not going to make money, and they were selling bananas. And so what he did was he sent him to medical school. That's what he did. His father-in-law paid for his medical school. So he went to medical school in Tamil Nadu, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. At that time, there are only two states, Andhra and Tamil Nadu. There are no two states. Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu are one state. Actually, now three states: Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and the Chennai, the Tamil Nadu, or three states, and one state is called Tamil Nadu. Actually, Tamil Nadu is state. Uh, so he used to call Madras. Madras is named as Chennai. He went to school in Madras. He went to Madras Medical College. He got admission. I don't know how he got admission in the school. Somehow he got pulled some influences. At that time, India was ruled by British. Queen Elizabeth just took over. So she was the queen of the England. She was the queen of India, because we were being ruled by British government. So Lord Mountbatten was our vice chancellor for us. So Subbarao went to school in Chennai. One of the great things, British people have a love and hate relationship with England. They want one thing I can tell you about British people. They give a equal. They never discriminated for the education. They wanted to promote everybody. The people. They gave access to education to a lot of people, and even though they robbed the country to some extent, but they provided some infrastructure for the government. They need infrastructure to rob the place. At least they provided. They didn't do at the cost of the infrastructure. They didn't discriminate, brutal discrimination. Sometimes the United States went through. It still go through sometimes. So, but that is a very different discrimination in that sense. So he graduated, he got the degree. That's a regular traditional medical school. It was a British kind of medical school. Then he got a teaching profession. He became a professor in Ayurveda school. Ayurveda is English. Ayurveda is Indian traditional medicine. He was teaching there physiology and anatomy. Then but he was a traditional doctor. So he was Adayar, is the same town in Chennai. He was teaching medical school in the Ayurveda school. That was a very famous school. Then usually all the people used to go to England for a medical higher education, but he decided to go to Harvard. So he applied in 1923. He applied for Harvard Medical School. Think about that. He just took a chance and applied Harvard Medical School. They rejected him outright. They said that, you're teaching in an Ayurveda school. We don't support the Ayurveda, that traditional medicines, unless you have a degrees in English medicine, allopathic medicine. We don't. Then he wrote back a letter saying that I am trained in the allopathic medicine. I'm just teaching in Ayurveda school, but it is actually my degree is in medical school, regular allopathic English medical school. So then he got the admission and he came to Harvard Medical School. He studied tropical medicine. He became a doctor, and he got a tropical medicine degree, and then he also got the PhD in biochemistry. Think about the guy who failed high school 3 times, got the PhD in biochemistry from Harvard. So he's a talented inside. There is a talent, but he became he became a faculty member. They hired him. He's that good. So, but Harvard, discriminated him. He felt he was discriminated. His papers were hidden. All his research papers were hidden. He was denied a tenure, and he stolen his papers. It is all documented. It is not just allegations. These are documented evidence actually there. So it is all his inventions are under his supervisor took it out, and they were found out later on. That is a sad story of that process. But then he moved to Then he got hired by Ladderley Labs. There's a 1925, Ladderley, 1940, he was hired by Ladderley Labs. It's like a boutique research firm. It's not a big, it's a small firm in Pearl River, New York. He was hired as a director of the Ladderley Labs. They were doing some of the animal testing and animal medicines and all those things. He was hired by one of the things as a director, actually. He got a great position from there, Ladderley Labs. He got it. So he was in the Ladderley Labs. Then his brilliance came out everywhere. Actually, he became one of the pioneers in inventions. It was first invention was a phosphate strip test. The in the body, the calcium is the first with the highest mineral. The second one is the phosphorus. Is for the to reduce alcoholic people, diabetes. One of the things is that phosphorus is a low deficiency in the phosphor, and the teeth and bones you need a phosphor. So he to test the phosphor in the body, he came up with a strip test during the time, first strip test. He came up with the idea of strip test, and he was one of the inventor of the strip test, first invention. Think about, I'm going to talk about all his four inventions. Then that was actually did it in Harvard, but that those two papers were stolen. They, even though he became a famous, then he became a famous. Everybody knows his name. He came to know his name. The next invention was Hetazone tablets. These are very essential tablets in the tropical countries, third world countries. Antiparasitic drug, anthelmintics. These are all parasitic drugs. These are all, that people die because of this drug. Saved millions of people. Is a World Health Organization is a list of is a very essential drug in the World Health Organization list. This one. Hetazone tablets. Even now they are available. So actually they're testing these Hetazone tablets against the coronavirus and Zika viruses. In fact, it's a treatment for the coronavirus and Zika virus. So his invention still active and treating a lot of tropical diseases. So that was his invention. Then he came to the next one is the mother of all his inventions. In 1940s, one of the biggest cancers is the child leukemia. If the other cancers are, you can do radiation therapy, radium therapy. Marie Curie invented radium, so they were doing the radium therapy, and then they were doing the surgery. Surgery is the first option. But if you have a blood disease, the blood is disseminated entire body. You need a targeted drug. So they were talking about it. Dr. Subbarao came up with a drug is called antifolic acid. He analog to the folic acid with the Sidney Farber. He gave this medicine to the Sidney Farber from he's a very character guy. He's interesting. Nobody liked him. So only person liked him is Dr. Subbarao. That's nobody wanted to like him. So he gave his invention to Sidney Farber, and he was the first. So chemotherapy drug now is still available. Still people use it. Is used it for ectopic pregnancies, rheumatoid arthritis. There's so many uses. So with head neck cancers, there's multiple uses now. Chemotherapy drug is everywhere now. So nobody knows he invented the first chemotherapy drug, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, think about that. And nobody knows his name. We should be ashamed if you are in the medical profession. We need to know these things. Who invented these things? How they came out these kind of things. I'm not saying you need to be ashamed, but we need to be aware of these things. At least the people, the education system is not telling the stories behind these discoveries. That is a problem. So he became very famous actually with this. Then mother of these are bigger than that drug, because very few people get children is getting the leukemia, but everybody is getting sick with the other diseases, infectious diseases. So you need a first broad spectrum antibiotic he did invent. Idomycin, it was invention by Dr. Yellapragada Subbarao, invented the idomycin. He came up with the Ladderley Labs. He invented idomycin. So think about that. He is a master of. His inventions coming out left and right from his pocket, and he's out of his brain. So the next one What he did was, when he invented idomycin, there's a story. He hired a guy. He's a plantation owner from Alabama, Talladega. He's a Benjamin Dugard. He hired him. He's 78 years old, 75 years old, and nobody wanted to hire him. And he's a kind of eccentric character, Benjamin Dugard. So he's a southerner. He's a plantation owner's son. So he was fighting against the Union. So he was in the north. So nobody liked him. So only person who gave him a job is Dr. Subbarao hired him. That Benjamin Dugard is a botanist. He's a plant chemist. Actually, he hired him. So then both of them. So he got some from the farmers. He got that from Missouri. Some special automycin is a gold color, some grass or something that wild weed kind of thing from Missouri. They tested it. That became idomycin, antibiotic drug. They wanted to do clinical trials, and these two. Think about a guy from India, a southerner, a plantation owner, son in the north, and nobody wants to give him a clinical trials. So they went to only guy, Dr. Louis Wright. He's an African American surgeon. He's from LaGrange, Georgia. In fact, he's a slave, owner of a slave. So these three guys got together. So they went to him in the Harlem Hospital. He was the chief of the Harlem Hospital at the time. So they went to him. So he gave opportunity to do clinical trials in the Harlem Hospital, and it is a wide success. It was a tremendous success. Dr. Louis Wright, and then send the results back to them. It is curing syphilis, it's curing all these sexual diseases, other problems, other infectious diseases. He gave a ringing endorsement for that. And immediately he went on to the bigger trials. Other labs took over, as you know. So literally, eventually bought over by Pfizer. Now it is a part of the Pfizer. And literally labs, if you invent something, big companies always buy. Thanks to the Pfizer anyway. They did. They gave a plaque to him, and there was a Pfizer literally labs that there's still that is a bust is there. His name is there still. But he did get no Nobel prizes. 4 Nobel prizes. It is just 4 Nobel prizes, sir. We are getting the Nobel prizes for a lot of wrong people, but he deserves 4 Nobel prizes. He got none. No, it's a thumbs down for the Nobel Committee for that. So Dr. Yellowbeard Subbarao he was born on the same day today. Is more than 125 years ago. He died in 1948 in Pearl River, New York, in the sleep at the age of 53. Okay, is a tragedy beyond. He died the same. He was a follower of. We got the independence. 1947 he got independence, and then 1948 same year, the Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated by Hindu fanatic, and then he was assassinated, and then so he was a great follower of Gandhi, and Yellowbeard Subbarao died in his sleep. So he gave actually some of his money to some of the people in Missouri for the two. He gave a scholarship with his money to the students in Missouri. In fact, the story with his relationship with his autobiography, you must read it. Then the New York Herald Tribune. At that time, New York Times don't recognize these kind of people. They don't know science, first of all. They don't understand science. Even in India, they didn't know all his contributions. The New York Herald Tribune said that one of the most eminent medical minds of the century, that they said that is one of the, is even true today. How many people have discoveries like that? New York Herald Tribune said that one of the most eminent medical minds of the century. Jewish advocate said that because he lived longer. That's a very powerful statement he did. So that is the story of these two Subbaraos. So I wanted to say something. On a personal note, both have the same name. My father, both have the same name. On a personal note, both have the same name, came from same town, and both helped people. My father had nothing. He provided care for people who had nothing. in a small southern village in India. My father Subbarao helped my village, and other Dr. Subbarao helped with the war. People come and go, but the nobility of these people who serve silently, who serve silently, and better to better the humanity for a better tomorrow for all humanity, and remind us the medical contributions for the medicine humanity, remind of us the greatness of the profession of medicine. In fact, that's what I wanted to say.